In this video, I'll explain how to find the endpoint of a segment when you're given the midpoint and the other endpoint. So I have a couple examples for us to work through here. Let's check out the first one. Find the endpoint of segment AB when the midpoint M is 2, 5 and the endpoint A is negative 3, 6. So if we imagine that we have some segment AB, we're told here that A has the coordinates negative 3, 6. We're also told that the midpoint, the point directly in the middle of the segment, we'll call it M, has the coordinates 2, 5. And we are asked to find what are the coordinates of B based on knowing these two coordinates. So the way that we can solve this is we can write the midpoint formula. So the midpoint of a line is defined as this: x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. So we know the coordinates of x1 and y1. That's our A right here. So we'll write x1 and y1. We also know the coordinates of M, our midpoint. So what we can do is we can plug in the values that we know. So let's go ahead and do that. x1 is negative 3 plus x2. Well, we don't know x2 because remember, that's what we're trying to solve for. We're trying to figure out what is x2 and y2. So we'll just write plus x2 over 2. And we already know what the answer of this should be. This is the x coordinate of our midpoint. We're told that's 2. So we know that this expression has to be equal to 2. Similarly, y1, we're told that that's 6 plus y2. We don't know y2. That's what we're trying to figure out for B. Divided by 2. But we do know what this has to be equal to. It has to be equal to the y value of the midpoint. And we're told that's 5. So we know this must be equal to 5. So all we have to do now is solve for x2 and y2. So for this equation, we have negative 3 plus x2 divided by 2 is equal to 2. So we got to figure out what is x2. So the way that we can do that is we can multiply both sides of the equation by 2, and that will get rid of that denominator. So negative 3 plus x2 is equal to 2 times 2, that's 4. Now to solve for x2, we can add a 3 to each side, plus 3. That leaves us with x2 is equal to 4 plus 3, that's 7. So x2 is equal to 7. Now over here we have 6 plus y2 divided by 2 is equal to 5. So we can multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of that denominator. 6 plus y2 is equal to 5 times 2, that's 10. And now to solve for y2, we can subtract a 6 from each side. That leaves us with y2 is equal to 10 minus 6, that's 4. So our coordinates for B, this other endpoint of the segment, will be 7, 4. And that is our answer. Let's take a look at the second example. Find the endpoint of segment AB when the midpoint is 3, 8 and the endpoint A is 10, 4. So again, imagine we have some segment. We know the endpoint of A, that's 10, 4. We are also told the coordinates of the midpoint, that's 3, 8. And we want to find the coordinates of the other endpoint of B. So we'll call these coordinates x2, y2. This is what we want to try to find. So once again, we'll use the midpoint formula, which is x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. So let's plug in the values that we know. x1 is 10. So I'll write x1, y1 up here. x1 is 10 plus x2. We don't know x2. We're trying to figure that out. So we'll just write plus x2 divided by 2. But we do know that this whole expression has to be equal to the x value of the midpoint, which is 3. We know that value. And then we have y1. So y1, we know that. That's 4. Plus y2. We don't know y2. We're trying to figure that out. Over 2. We know this whole expression has to be equal to the y coordinate of the midpoint. So we know that's 8. And once again, we're just going to solve for x2 and y2. So to solve for x2 over here, we can multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of that 2 in the denominator. 10 plus x squared is equal to 3 times 2, that's 6. Excuse me, this should be x2, not x squared. 3 times 2, that's 6. Now to solve for x2, we can subtract a 10 from each side. Subtract a 10. And we're left with x2 is equal to 6 minus 10, that's negative 4. Now over here we have 4 plus y2 divided by 2 is equal to 8. So we'll multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of the denominator. 4 plus y2 is equal to 8 times 2, 16. And to solve for y2, we'll subtract a 4 from each side, minus 4. y2 is equal to 16 minus 4 is 12. So our final answer will be negative 4, comma 12. These are the coordinates of the other endpoint B of our line segment AB. Thanks for watching.